Hello, 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 and welcome to Friendship Empire. I'm the Empress, and on today's episode, we are talking about crypto bros gone wild. This is the second installment in our series on this topic, and where we left off on episode 1, we had covered the arrest of the two gentlemen that you should be able to see on the lower left-hand side of your screen, that being William Duplessie on the left in the brown jail or prison jumpsuit, and John Woeltz, who is the gentleman in the orange prison jumpsuit or jail jumpsuit on the right. And at the end of May of this year, 2025, it is the 9th of July, 2025, as I am speaking to you. So a little more than a month ago, about a month and a half ago, these two gentlemen were arrested in New York City and charged with some pretty heinous crimes, all in the alleged service of trying to obtain Bitcoin, millions of dollars of Bitcoin from a business associate, presumably now a former business associate. So in the first episode, we went over the immediate coverage of these alleged crimes, the busts, the arrests, and the allegations. And where we left off, we were just about to, and I believe we mentioned it, but didn't get into reading the articles. There was a raid in the state of Kentucky. 2 locations in Kentucky were raided by multiple law enforcement agencies. And it turned out, it wasn't announced initially, but it turned out that raid, or those 2 raids, were connected to the arrest of the crypto bros, Duplessie and Woeltz, in New York City. Now, since those raids occurred, there hasn't been too much information about the case, the crypto bro case. The media has pretty much gone silent, which may just be the fact that they're not in court anymore, and there may not be any actual more information. But there are a lot of little tendrils, a lot of the initial coverage of this brought out a lot of weird connections, and we touched on that a little bit in the first episode, and we're going to dig even deeper into that in future episodes. Connections to a member of the Biden family, close connections to Mayor Eric Adams of New York City, the embattled mayor, accused of much more corruption than just a connection to this case. There's even a connection to the late departed Jeffrey Epstein. But today we are going to look at both the raids in Kentucky and the alternative coverage, the alternative point of view, I guess I should say, that has been sort of put forth by TMZ. The coverage that that TMZ put out was obviously, it being TMZ, more gossipy, more salacious, even than the coverage by the New York Post, which echoed a lot of some of the things that were covered in the TMZ reporting. But TMZ, as usual, they went harder, and good for that, because it's more information about the case. And I apologize for that giant black box in the middle of the article there, but in the middle of the screen. But when I archive articles, they often will remove the video elements. But we have many little video snippets. TMZ has been kind enough to provide us with those, and so we are going to have some video and some photographs related to this case. And some of TMZ's the audio-visual elements that TMZ was able to obtain and publish on their site has called into question the allegations against Duplessie and Woeltz. Is their alleged victim indeed a victim, or is something else going on here. And the information that TMZ was able to obtain was such that the prosecutors in the case actually had to come out and address this. So let's take a look, just in case you are new to the story. Obviously, I would recommend after listening to this episode, go back and check out part 1, where we go much more into depth into the arrests and the initial information that came out. But right now, I'll just give a little wrap up. This is a New York Post article from the 1st of June, giving you a little bit of a summary of the case if you're not familiar. Crypto kidnapping victims' dizzying view during alleged weeks-long torture ordeal. Oh, and just a quick word about language. Because it is YouTube, I have to be careful about using certain words and certain terms for their, basically their standards and practices, community guidelines. And also, in case of if you happen to be watching or listening to us somewhere where you have children, sensitive family members, coworkers, or what have you, there are certain words and things that are going to come up in the story that would not be family friendly, shall we say. So I'm going to sort of speak around it, use euphemisms and code words. I think we'll all know what I'm talking about, but if you're confused at all, you can just, if you have the ability to put eyes on screen, you should be able to see the words in the articles. Hopefully the text is visible, large enough that you can read that if you're confused, but I don't think there will be any confusion. I'll make it pretty clear. So continue, getting back to the article. Crypto kidnapping victims' dizzying view during alleged weeks-long torture ordeal. This, and there you can see down the staircase, this is likely the dizzying view forced on crypto kidnapping victim Michael Valentino Teofrasto Carturan when he was allegedly dangled over a 5-story staircase while being tortured for his Bitcoin password. Real estate photos of the 8-bedroom, $21 million townhouse on Prince Street in Soho, or more accurately, Nolita, as we covered on the first episode, where authorities said Carturan, 28, was abused and held captive for 17 days, show the spiral, multi-level plunge he is believed to have faced during the harrowing ordeal. That is a great shot. The native of Italy, who is worth $30 million, suffered serious injuries in the horrific episode. Although, keep in mind, they're saying serious injuries. We're going to see video of the alleged victim leaving the so-called, torture house. And we're going to see other articles which said that he actually did not have any serious injuries. So what actually happened? I guess we will have to wait until the trial to find out exactly what his injuries may or may not have been. But just keep that in mind. It says serious injuries, but then look at pay attention to what the other articles, the later articles will say. During which Manhattan prosecutors alleged he was tied to a chair with electrical wire, tased while standing in water, cut on his legs and arm with a chainsaw. Pin that image in your head. The idea of someone having been, injured on his legs and arm with a chainsaw. You can imagine how awful those wounds must have been. Must they not have been very bloody, very, very, life-threatening? One would assume. Continuing the article. He was, I'll use child's language. They did a number 1 on him and forced him to take illegal substances. And yes, there were definitely illegal substances involved. How much forcing was involved is part of what's in question here. And we're going to see some video from TMZ in a little bit that will, you can be the judge. Does it look like forcing? Does it look like consensual participatory activity. You be the judge. Movie of the week in the chat. Hello. Chainsaw equals ouch. Yeah, big ouch, I would assume, movie of the week. But we will see video in just a little bit of the alleged victim, Mr. Carturan, leaving the property in Nolita, although they're often calling it Soho. Manhattan, definitely. And you can see, does it appear as though he was chainsawed in the legs? To my eyes, I know what my opinion is, but you be the judge. Okay, so continuing the article. His accused tormentors, crypto entrepreneur John Woeltz, that's the gentleman in the orange on the lower left-hand side of your screen, and Swiss businessman, that's incorrect, William Duplessie. Duplessie is American, as far as I can tell. I don't know, I believe he was born in this country, but his family, from everything else that I've read, his family is American. He lived at least part of it, the family lived at least part of their time in Greenwich, Connecticut. However, he did do business in Switzerland. He, if I'm remembering correctly from part one, his father, and another relative started a financial business in Switzerland. They said he was at Lugano. They said it was in Lugano. Okay, so not Swiss, but American, who had worked in Switzerland. His alleged tormentors also allegedly destroyed Carturan's passport. Carturan was rescued after he fled the townhouse barefoot on May 23 and flagged down a traffic cop for help. And here is a still from a security camera showing Carturan on the left here, with the black shirt and shorts, and then the police officer next to him on the right. And you can see he's barefoot. You can see most of his bare legs there. And from the angle, there are no visible wounds, but of course it's just one angle, and, it's a security camera footage. It's not great, but we will be seeing the video itself in just a little bit when we move on to the TMZ coverage. Okay, the former captive has already contacted the Italian consulate on the Upper East Side in order to get a new passport, Italian newspaper La Repubblica reported. Only on Saturday did the first contacts take place between the family, who said little or nothing, keeping the conditions and the account of what happened confidential, and the Italian Foreign Ministry, according to the outlet. His family owns a herbalist shop, according to the Italian newspaper Corriere della Sera. And there's John Woeltz in court, and if you watched our first show, you may remember that we have nicknamed him Weasel Bro, because he has more of the sort of weaselly demeanor. His pal Duplessie there on the in the brown, I guess, beige brown tan outfit on the lower left hand side of the screen. We like to call him Frankenbro because of his stature and demeanor. So Frankenbro and Weaselbro, or Duplessie and Woeltz, if you please. Continuing the article. Carturan was living in Rivoli, a town in the city of Turin in northern Italy, with his family before venturing to the Big Apple on May 6 to meet Woeltz, according to authorities and sources. He had studied psychology before dropping out of school to trade crypto, the Italian press reported. He was apparently hoping to retrieve Bitcoin, allegedly stolen from him by Woeltz and Duplessie, who then turned the tables, took him captive, and threatened to unalive him and his family unless he gave them the password to his Bitcoin wallet, prosecutors said. Now, here is another bit of questionable behavior. Why, if they had already stolen money from him, why did he not report them to any authorities in Italy, in the United States, Interpol? I don't know. Why was he willing to go and meet up with them? I mean, to actually fly from Italy to the United States. It seems like a lot of effort. If he already were living in the United States, in New York City, for example, just going to the guy's townhouse, I would assume would be one thing. But I still don't understand why, if they had stolen money from him, why he would keep that from law enforcement, unless there was some other possibly activity that they wanted to keep quiet, all of them, or at least the alleged victim. And of course, I say alleged because it has not gone to trial. These two men, Duplessis and Woeltz, have not been convicted of anything thus far related to this case. And indeed, both have pleaded not guilty to the charges. As such, they remain innocent until and if they are actually proven guilty in a court of law. So that's important to remember. We don't know for sure what exactly happened, except for some partying. The partying seems to be pretty clear, and something odd clearly went down. But what exactly was it? That is the question. So, continuing the article, this is ending this article. Woeltz, 37, of Kentucky, is believed to be worth $100 million. Polaroids that were found at the property showed Carturan, who reportedly has a net worth of $30 million, with a weapon that hurls projectiles pointed at his head and being forced to smoke. Well, it rhymes with whack. It's a rock form of what we call on French Dip Empire marching powder. I think you know what I'm talking about. It rhymes with whack. He was forced to smoke whack. Authorities said the pair are due in court June 11. Now, I also wonder why, if Woeltz was worth $100 million, presumably Duplessis had his own fortune, if they were these crypto bros working together, why they would want to steal the millions of Carturan, who had 30. I'm not entirely sure, but I suppose, greedy people might engage in, such activities. But who knows? So that is a little bit of hopefully a summary if you're not familiar with the story. And if you want much more detail, go back and listen or watch episode 1 or part 1. So they get busted in New York at this it's Nolita Townhouse, which we will be looking at. We will be able to see inside of it, some real estate pictures, some party pictures, some party video of the crypto bros, Carturan, and some ladies. But right now, we're going to look at the raid because in episode 1, I did not have enough time to go into that and actually read the articles. So let's take a look at what happened. Now, I happened to stumble upon the news of the raid as I was researching this story, trying to get ready to do a show, and I had to delay the show that I was planning because as I was pulling my articles, I saw a link. I was looking up Woeltz and his background because Woeltz is from Kentucky. And as I was looking at a local article, on the side, a little pop-up came up. Breaking news. There's a raid. There's an ATF. As you can see, the headline on this article from, it says WPSD Local 6. This is, I guess it's in Paducah, Kentucky, because that's the weather alert down here says Paducah. The headline from June 10th, updated June 11th, aided by state police, ATF, NYPD, search Smithland home in, quote, violent crime investigation. All very mysterious, but that's what tipped me off. The Kentucky State Police, that's one thing. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the feds, that's something else. But why would the NYPD, the New York Police Department, be participating in this multi-agency raid in Kentucky? That made me go, it's gotta be the crypto bros. It's gotta be. And I looked and looked for more information, and I could not find anything more specific until the next morning when it was confirmed that indeed this was linked to the crypto bros. So let's take a look at this article. And actually, I think we can watch this video. So let's take a look at the video, shall we?
Tonight, several law enforcement agencies from multiple states in Livingston County today, their presence sparking tons of questions, specifically about who's involved. Here's where this happened. Near the Smith Mansion in Smithland on North Court Street around noon. Local 6's Jeremiah Hatcher's been there all day for us, joins us now live from that area. Jeremiah, is law enforcement still there tonight?
Jen, yes, law enforcement is still here, but their presence has thinned out tremendously since we arrived on the scene at noon today. And I'm just going to step out the way so you guys can see down there. I don't know if you guys can see, but about this whole lot here was just filled with cop cars, about 20, but it's about a good 15 now. But the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Louisville Field Division is the leading agency in this case. Now here's video of the scene today. At ATF's Public Information Officer Jennifer Hicks tells me the agency was in Smithland today executing multiple federal authorized warrants. She says it's part of an ongoing violent crime investigation alongside the New York City Police Department. Now ATF also worked alongside in conjunction with Kentucky State Police, HSI, Nashville, DEA, Louisville, and other local partners. Hicks said this is an ongoing investigation. Live in Livingston County, Jeremiah Hatcher, WPSC Local 6.
Jeremiah, thanks. Hicks could not confirm the location where ATF carried out those warrants or anyone that may be involved.
I hope you noticed before the ad kicked in at the end of that video, it said Smith Mansion, and there was a photograph of the mansion. So that was where the one raid took place, the first one that I had heard of. And then there was a second raid that took place at a separate property that looked like a more remote property. I think we may get a photograph of that. It looked like maybe a cabin with a swimming pool next to it, but like sort of a more country property. There was a long driveway and a lot of green surrounding it, whereas the Smith Mansion, if you could tell by the video, and we'll see some more photographs from the Smith Mansion raid, that is on, if it's not actually, it may actually be called Main Street, but it looks like it's the main street in the town, and it's a historical property. But let's take a look at this article. And I heard them mention the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency, was also involved in this raid. So local police, DEA, ATF, NYPD, what were these guys involved in? It seems like maybe there's a lot more going on in this story, and that's why I'm surprised that it hasn't been much. There really hasn't been much coverage, any deep diving, deep investigation. The New York Times, it's not just the tabloids like TMZ and the New York Post that are covering this story. In episode 1, we read articles from the New York Times, all the major local channels, for example, the New York City channels, news stations, they were covering it as well. And then just boom. I mean, I would imagine that these raids would be big news, but boom, nothing. So let's take a look at this article. It says, residents of the small Livingston County town of Smithland were surprised to see blockades, armored vehicles, and a helicopter overhead Tuesday as federal and state law enforcement agencies carried out warrants at a large home on the riverfront. And there you have, let's pause that. This says, a Kentucky State Police armored vehicle is seen in Smithland, Kentucky. Okay, a lot of just repetitive information here. Here's another photograph. You see state police. There's like 3 guys at least. With a population of around 237, many residents said Smithland is usually a quiet little town. However, it was a busy scene on the town's North Court Street. That's the name of the street. Around 11 a.m. Tuesday, when the New York Police Department, Kentucky State Police, and agents with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, Louisville Field Division, executed multiple warrants at one home on Riverfront. As they conducted the investigation, authorities blocked off a section of North Court and other streets nearby. asked for comment, ATF Louisville Public Information Officer Jennifer Hicks released a statement that read in part, on June 10, 2025, ATF Louisville conducted enforcement operations in Smithland, Kentucky, as part of an ongoing violent crime investigation in conjunction with New York Police Department. Kentucky State Police provided tactical assistance that involved the service of 2 court-authorized warrants. I wonder who they served the warrants on. As this, since presumably Woeltz and Duplessie were in New York City, who were they serving? Okay. As this is an active and ongoing investigation, we are not able to comment further. And then they have, this is a photograph of the mansion. You can see it's rather large, but you kind of can't get the whole scope of it. And there are houses on either, properties on either side. There are properties all over the place. It's not exactly like remote. Okay, and it says, no specific property or name in the investigation has been revealed to the public as of publication time Tuesday. However, residents along the riverfront said authorities could be seen walking around the Smith Mansion, which is at 101 North Court Street. And yes, that was one location of one of the 2 raids that took place in Kentucky. And continuing the statement by the ATF spokesperson, ATF is the federal law enforcement agency responsible for enforcing federal firearms laws. Our mission is to protect the public, and ATF's priority is firearms-related violent crime. Interestingly, in episode 1, we read an article where people were claiming, or someone had claimed, that Duplessie, Frankenbro, would go out clubbing and bragging to people that he was, if I remember correctly, he was trafficking in arms, and he claimed that he worked for the CIA. Now, of course, people can say all kinds of things trying to impress other people, especially when you're maybe, he was the kind of guy who was involved in substances. And when one gets all substanced up, sometimes, one might say things that aren't quite true to impress people or what have you, but who knows? I see in the chat, Movie of the Week says, ATF motto, it's not a party until you've got all 3. All 3 what? You mean the T, the F, and the E? Or the A, the T, the F? It's 4 now. It's 4 of them now. It's ATF. They call it ATF, but it's actually ATFE. So I guess you really got a party going on if you have all 4, but I see your point, Movie of the Week. Well, they were party guys, and we're going to see their party pics and videos in just a little bit. But we have been going for about a half an hour, and I would like to remind you this is French Dip Empire. I am the Empress. Go ahead and click like and subscribe, and show us some love in the chat or in the comments under this video if you're not catching us live. Every little bit helps us to get YouTube's attention so that they can promote the channel and the videos to other like-minded individuals such as yourself catching us now. And also we are on a march to monetization so that we can offer more functionality on the site to viewers, offering memberships, super chats, super stickers, and more. So we'd appreciate it if you could help us out with that. And Movie of the Week in the chat, yes, the ATF. Yes, it's BATFE now, although people still call it ATF. It's like Twitter and X. It's X, but everyone still calls it Twitter, or they say Twitter X or X Twitter, which is also kind of, I guess X Twitter would be kind of a good pun because it's X Twitter, X and Twitter. But anyway, but call it what you want. Yes, you get the A, the T, the F, and especially the E, and yeah, you've got a heck of a party. One that might be crashed by multiple law enforcement agencies. But okay, so, and here's a photograph of a helicopter that was part of the raid. Though no specific, oh, okay, sorry, we said that already. And here's more officers directing traffic away from the area. Continuing, Livingston County Public Library Director Tracy Dismore works less than a minute away from the location under investigation. She said the investigation has naturally been the talk of the town. Nothing like this ever happens here, not in my 32 years of living here at least, Dismore said. It is pretty peaceful. We never have NYPD here, a raid, anything like that going on. It has been the hot topic here, a potential SWAT team, armored cars. That is just so rare in Smithland, so, of course, it does make some of us feel unsafe. You would never have guessed something this big was going down on the river. It just goes to show that it may be a small town, but you don't always know your neighbor. All right. Continuing, more about the raid. And here we finally are connecting the crypto bros to the raids. And there's another shot of the Smith mansion. You can see the gates and the more of the house. You can get a little bit more of a sense of how large the house is. So this is another local, this is the Paducah Sun, Paducah, Kentucky, from the 12th of June, updated on the 15th. Bitcoin kidnapping suspects linked to 2 Smithland properties. And we haven't even mentioned the tunnels yet. Well, let's see. So this says the Smith mansion is pictured on June 11, the day after it was potentially raided by authorities. The 6-bedroom, 10-bathroom home is offset by a gated property overlooking the Ohio River, complete with a tennis court and a swimming pool. Nice. Okay, after the possible raid, of the $1 million Smith Mansion in Smithland, Kentucky, Tuesday by state police, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, and the New York Police Department in an ongoing violent crime investigation, a reputable public official with Livingston County confirmed Wednesday that the riverfront property is owned by John Woeltz. And yes, that's Weasel Bro. That's the guy in the orange jumpsuit on the lower left-hand corner there of your screen. Woeltz, who was originally from Paducah, and William Duplessie, who is from Florida. Well, he has certainly apparently spent time in Florida, attached. I think they said Miami was where, or outside. I guess he partied in Miami. I think they said that maybe he was living in a town outside of Miami that was popular with crypto investors, crypto bros, although the name is escaping me right now. But yeah, Duplessis appears to be from Greenwich, Connecticut, from everything that I've heard and read. I don't know if he grew up his entire life there, but that's where his family was based, at least. For a good part of time. And we looked in episode 1, we looked at the neighborhood, Bellhaven. It's rather exclusive. And anyway, watch episode 1 if you would like to hear more about that. Take a look at the house and see where it is. Okay, continuing. Duplessis, who is from Florida, kind of, are 2 cryptocurrency investors accused of kidnapping and torturing a man in Manhattan in an attempt to get the man's Bitcoin password. According to eyewitnesses in Smithland, helicopters and authorities could also be seen at another property at 750 Birdsville Road, just 7 miles from the city of Smithland. The county official who confirmed Woeltz owns the Smith Mansion on Court Street, who was not at liberty to speak publicly on the matter, also confirmed that Woeltz owns the Birdsville Road property. Okay. Both belonging to Woeltz. Vehicles were recorded via drone video at the Birdsville property as well, but it has not yet been confirmed if those vehicles belong to authorities or the property owner, or if the Birdsville property was raided. The New York Post reported that it has confirmed Woeltz and Duplessis' ownership of the Smith Mansion with multiple sources, and we are going to read some more of the New York Post's coverage in just a second. Continuing, the Livingston County Property Valuation Administrator's Office confirmed that the mansion is owned by a company named Mr. Smith, LLC. Records obtained at the Livingston County Clerk's Office also show that the property was sold on January 27, 2025 for $1 million and was deeded to Mr. Smith, LLC. The business is registered in Wyoming. The 6-bedroom, 10-bathroom Smith mansion is offset by a gated property overlooking the Ohio River, complete with a tennis court and a swimming pool. Woeltz, 37, and Duplessie, 32, are in jail. Okay, and it goes over again the crimes they are alleged to have committed against Mr. Carturan. National news outlets have reported that a traffic officer was notified of this. Oh, okay, this is again. Now, they're saying that Carturan was bloody and without shoes. Well, we can definitely confirm that he was without shoes. That's obvious. But when you look at the video, and I've seen it multiple times now, you tell me if he looks bloody. Although, again, it's a kind of lousy security camera, lousy quality on the security camera footage. But you tell me if the man looks bloody, injured. Does he look like he was hit with a chainsaw in his legs and arm? Honestly, some of the alleged tortures that he was allegedly subjected to sounds like they were trying to film a Jackass movie. But anyway. It was anything done to this guy that wasn't done to Steve-O or Johnny Knoxville at some point. I feel like that's what I've been reading. But anyway, continuing the article. On Tuesday, residents in Smithland said they were shocked to see 101 North Court Street blocked off by police, black SUVs, and armored vehicles with a helicopter flying overhead. However, multiple people who live or work in the town said the presence of investigators was not entirely surprising. Well, why not? The lady in the other art said that it was surprising that you never see anything like that in Smithland. So this person says, considering everything that has been going on over there since the new owners moved in, I can't say that I am too shocked, said one neighbor who asked to remain anonymous. There has been talk of them for a while, having elaborate parties, being loud. Men have been seen with weapons that hurl projectiles out there, supposedly. Although, honestly, in Kentucky, it wouldn't be surprising. I mean, people are pretty prone to amendment, I imagine, in Kentucky. It's not, it's the kind of place where someone might go hunting or what have you. So I wouldn't think that would be that unusual. However, if you're commenting that they are unusual, perhaps these people look more like, security people with weapons, not your average, guy who might go out trying to bag a deer, that kind of thing. And I also assume that they weren't, say, skeet shooting or target shooting, which if you see an overhead view of where the Smith Mansion is, it's not remote. There's not that much land that you could, have like a tree stand for deer hunting or whatnot. It's not that much. Maybe the other property that was allegedly raided, that one had more land. That might be more feasible there, but not at the mansion. It's there are houses around, properties around. It would be weird, yeah. Okay, continuing. The kind of luxury-looking vehicles you would see out there aren't something the average person would have. And yes, in part one, we read some articles that indicated that Duplessie specifically was partial to luxury vehicles and that he had gotten some, I think, speeding tickets. Was it 2 speeding tickets? There was one involving a Porsche and one involving a Lamborghini, I believe. There may have been a third car, but he had some issues with vehicles, and I think one involved. Did he have a run-in with a crash, like an actual crash with someone, or a road rage incident? There was something like that, but it was fairly minor compared to the allegations that are coming out of New York City against Duplessie. But anyway. Back to the article. On the day of the raid, Paducah Drone's Vic Patel captured footage of authorities confiscating a 6-wheel off-roader called the Apocalypse Hellfire, a roughly $200,000 to $250,000 vehicle. I think we may have a shot of that coming up on one of these other articles, but don't hold me to that. Although investigators were working in the area Tuesday, they have not officially confirmed that 101 North Court Street, the Smith Mansion, is the property where they executed the warrants. However, neighbors along the riverfront claimed authorities could be seen going in and out of the Smith Mansion from around 11 a.m. until the evening. So that was not a small raid, or alleged raid, possible raid. They won't confirm that it's a raid. Why not? I understand. Ongoing investigation. Okay. Now let's go over to the New York Post's coverage of the raid. And okay, I'm going to read the article first, and then I'm going to go over and play their video. Oh, is that the video? No, we'll skip that video. Okay, let's just read the article. And there's a lovely photo of the Smith Mansion where you can really get much more of a sense of, how grand the property is. And unfortunately from this photo, you can't tell, but like if you look over here to the left, there is a wooden fence coming off of this building here. There's another property like right here. There's another property like right here. And yeah, so there are properties. It looks like this could be vast, like an estate just in the middle of acres and acres of land. It's not. There are properties all around this. Okay, a $1 million mansion in Kentucky owned by the Crypto Bros, jailed for allegedly torturing a man for his digital coins, was raided by authorities Tuesday. The 6-bedroom waterfront home in Smithland, which appears to be styled after the White House, okay, I can see that, was bought by self-styled, oh nice, Crypto King of Kentucky. Ta-da! That's Weasel Bro, the guy in the orange over here. John Woeltz and his business partner, William Duplessie, for $1 million cash in January, multiple sources told the Post. And of course, this says that the house was raided by the ATF and the NYPD with support from Kentucky State Police, according to a release from authorities. So officially confirmed. Oh, here we go. Now you can see. I forgot that this picture was here. So that's the Smith Mansion right here. That's the road. That would be the road that they closed off. And you can see there's like a big pool house in the back, but then these are, other buildings. There's the town. Like it's not isolated. There's the tennis court. So very nice. Okay. Video of the raid obtained by the Post. And the video is not really any different than what we saw at the beginning of the show. This show. Shows armored vehicles being brought by truck into the town, which has a population of less than 300. And a series of unmarked black SUVs and trucks at the property. It is unclear if anyone was there at the time of the raid. Authorities have yet to say if anything was recovered from the property. That might be, there it is, the Apocalypse Hellfire vehicle that they were speaking of, which costs possibly up to $250,000. That's the truck. If you look closely, it says Apocalypse on the back. On that flatbed truck right there. So that's the Apocalypse Hellfire. I don't know what kind of vehicle that is. I thought that was, initially when I first saw the photograph, I thought that was something they had brought in as part of the raid, that belonged to, one of the law enforcement agencies, but apparently it was owned by the Bros. Okay, back to the article. Now, here's where it gets even weirder. Dude, tunnels. Guys, tunnels. Authorities have yet to say if anything was recovered from the property. Sources say one of the more unusual features of the house is a series of tunnels under it, accessible from the main house. Wait, what? What did they use the tunnels for? Where do the tunnels go? You see the property. So, and it's waterfront. So where do they go? Do they go down to the river? Is it like smuggling tunnels? Because honestly, if you're on the waterfront, any kind of waterfront, a bay, a river, what have you, it's perfect for transportation. It has been, since the dawn of people needing to transport things across long distances. It's always easy to float, right? Do the tunnels go down to the water? Were they smuggling things? What exactly is going on here? It doesn't say, and no one's really going into it that I can see. I haven't found any investigations. I've looked, no updates. Okay, so they go over the charges again. Here's another photograph that was taken. This is from the drone, from Vic Patel of Paducah Drone, who's doing great work. There's the Smith Mansion here, and you can see the black cars and everything. And another photograph that you can see a little bit. It's basically the same amount of these are other buildings. Like, are you telling me that the tunnels go to these other properties? Does it go off the property? How long are these tunnels? Who made these tunnels? What about the tunnels? I mean, I want to hear all about the tunnels, but that's all I could find, really. A neighbor who lived opposite Woeltz and Duplessie in Smithland told the Post, the two men we now know as the Crypto Bros purchased the property at 101. There was talk they were looking at making the mansion a venue for events, which is, well, what kind of events? Because Smithland is this tiny little town. I'm not going to say it's in the middle of nowhere. That seems, rude, but it is not, it's near Paducah. It's kind of near-ish to Paducah, Kentucky, which is, a city, but it's not the largest city in Kentucky. It's not the capital city, right, of Kentucky. It's, it's a city. I'm sure I haven't been there personally. I'm sure it's a fine place to visit and live and work, but, Smithland itself is not exactly a hub of activity of, I assume, any main industry, entertainment, crypto. Mystifying to me. What events? Who would they be inviting? What would they be doing? Very questionable. Okay. They joined local societies and stuff like that, and we're trying to fit in. Now, as we show you the party pics of these guys, I cannot imagine. I mean, okay, Woeltz is from Kentucky. He would, I assume, know how to vibe with the people that he grew up with. But Duplessis? Absolutely not. This guy does not look like he would be able to ingratiate himself with small town, a small southern town. I don't see that. But anyway, continuing. But there were all kinds of rumors going around. There was an awful lot of traffic, cars coming and going nonstop and stuff. At the same time, there was an undercurrent that something wasn't right, said Joshua Johnson, who lived opposite the mansion until recently. And no, you're not seeing double. That's two photos, the same photo. There you go. There's Duplessie and Woeltz, Weaselbro and Frankenbro, and some New York City police officers. Not looking too kingly in that shot. The crypto king of Kentucky. Okay, continuing. New evidence against the pair was presented at a hearing Wednesday where prosecutors accused them of holding another two people against their will. And I think, do we have that? Yeah, we have an article coming up in just a sec, or we might save this one for a little later. But yes, they were apparently accused of two other victims, but I don't think this is, well, they're saying it, but they're not being charged with that, as far as I can tell, in New York. And you would think that if it's going to be mentioned in the case, that they would be charged with those crimes as well. Yet, here we are, and I don't believe they have been. Okay, so accused them of holding another two people against their will and unveiled new evidence, including a photo of them setting Carturan, an Italian national, on fire. Allegedly, they would light him and then put him out, and they would put him out with a yellow liquid that comes from the human body. That's what they said in a different article. Woeltz and Duplessie are charged with kidnapping, assault, and unlawful imprisonment and have both pleaded not guilty. Lawyers for both did not comment for this article. Property deeds for the house. Okay, yes, it again says that the Smith Mansion was bought by a Wyoming LLC, Mr. Smith LLC. which was incorporated just weeks before the January 27th sale. A source close to the sale told the Post their cash was good, and that's all I know. And there you go. Well, okay, here, that's Carturan, the alleged victim, with what do not look like chainsaw injured or bloodied legs, with the police officer who they went to for help. And then here are Duplessie on the left and Woeltz on the right. And I'm still confused as to what exactly that outfit is, with the patterned pants and then the collar that seems to match. And I don't know what's going on there. And I love guys wearing sunglasses in the club. That's cool. Cool guys. So there they are, being cool in the club. And no, I can't imagine this guy really getting along with the small town Kentucky people. But anyway, okay. And then they go over the Smith Mansion. They say it is locally called the Straight House, after the family who previously lived there. All right. Oh, and this accurately mentions that Duplessie comes from Connecticut. So, okay, now, let's see. Should we go to the TMZ coverage? Oh, let's do this one. I think this is a good segue into TMZ's coverage. TMZ also had an article about the raid, and we'll take a look at that one. But this goes into the party. We're getting to the party pics, TMZ's party pics and video. So, and this is a New York Post article from May 29th, how, quote, kidnapper, unquote, crypto bros allegedly attacked New York City's club scene, private security, and a freezer bag full of marching powder. There's the word, if you're not clear on what I'm talking about. Here, I will highlight it. Ta-da! There you go. Okay. Before they allegedly kidnapped and tortured an Italian tourist at a swanky Soho, again, it's Nolita Townhouse, high-rolling crypto bros John Woeltz and William Duplessie were rolling up to Manhattan's trendiest nightclubs with their own security detail and looking for, quote, Instagram baddies, unquote, flaunting Brazilian butt lifts, according to two women who partied with them. There was an article in the Post, I think it was earlier this week, claiming that there's a bad side effect of the BBL, as it's called, the Brazilian butt lift, involving, how do I say this? The way that they were promoting it was there's odor issues. Women, I assume it's only women. Why am I assuming that? I'm sure there are men who have gotten Brazilian butt lifts, but I always hear that it's a woman who's been the patient or victim of a BBL, that they can have complications that involve bad odors. One explanation for this involves side effects of having surgery, such as infections. They also claim that some people are getting their posteriors enlarged to the point that their arms are having difficulty attending to their hygienic needs in that area, causing them to be stinky. Yes, movie of the week in the chat. Ew. Yes. So hopefully they weren't finding ladies with BBLs that were all stinky, but considering how much substances they were putting up their noses, I don't know if they would have been able to tell anyway. Okay, sorry for that disgusting digression, but back to the article. I'm sorry. It was just a really gross article, and I couldn't believe that this was a thing or that anyone would want to deal with that. Whatever. Do squats, I guess. Just do a lot of squats, and maybe you can build up your bum and you don't have to go under the knife and be stinky and be hit on by crypto bro creeps. Okay. Continuing. A nightlife source claimed that the pair, who have been arrested on charges we know, were using Charlie Zakor, And this kid came up he's not a child. This young man came up in episode 1. We touched on this a little bit. Charlie Zakor, a club kid turned crypto trader who is one of the stars of the upcoming Bravo reality show, Next Gen NYC, as a connection to set them up at exclusive clubs. The source alleged that Zakor reached out to her in early March to say he knew big crypto guys. Well, Duplessie is indeed big. He appears to be well over 6 feet, and well, I'm not going to assess his weight, but he's not a slender gentleman. Frankenbro. He's Frankenbro. Big crypto guys who were staying at the Mercer Hotel and wanted to spend around $30,000 at Paul's Baby Grand, the lounge opened by actress Chloe Sevigny's brother, Paul Sevigny. Cool, we're name dropping. But Woeltz, 37, and Duplessie, 33, ended up changing their mind and picked a, well, lousy, that's not the word they used, lousy, S-wordy. I'm trying to clean this up. You can kind of, they've even censored it in the Post article. A lousy, we'll say, commercial club, Nebula, because they just wanted to be seen, to just be flashy. Nebula is extravagant. That sounds a bit like sour grapes. Do you feel like maybe the source is Paul Sevigny himself? Like, I thought I had booked these guys to drop 30 grand and probably even more at my club, and then they decided, nah, I'm not going to go to his place. We're going to go to Nebula. That's cooler. Somebody's a little butt chapped, but anyway. I mean, you go to all of these places to be seen. Well, okay. At Nebula, the source claimed the duo spent $100,000 on bottles. They had the front table. And imagine, it's not actually $100,000 you're spending on the booze. You could get the booze bottles at the liquor store for much, much cheaper. So you pay for the vibe. Okay, I don't want to put like too much racy imagery on the screen. So one sec. Okay. Duplessie immediately got comfortable at the nightclub, the source alleged. The first time I met Will at Nebula, he was shirtless with sunglasses and smoking a cigar. And we saw a little bit of that in episode 1. We're going to see a little bit more of that, be warned, in just a second. And the duo had 4 security guards with them at all times. I met Kate Moss, and even she doesn't do that, the source sniffed. I think they were all sniffing. Kate especially. You could tell they were trying to prove something. You can tell they're posers. Well, you won't find any of those. And that was a lady hanging from a circular trapeze type thing at, as they say, one of the exclusive nightclubs where the duo partied was The Box, described as an erotic nightclub. No, not a strip club, an erotic nightclub. An attorney for Duplessie had no comment. Woeltz's lawyer did not respond to a request for comment, and the Post has attempted to reach Zakor. The source claimed that while with Duplessie and Woeltz, who reportedly calls himself the crypto king of Kentucky and has boasted of holding $100 million in digital currency, she saw a lot of blow to see, and I hope it's okay to say ketamine, and I assume at this point everyone is familiar with that, blow being the thing that we mentioned earlier, didn't mention specifically. 2C is that thing that has come up again and again in the Diddy case, and Ketty is, well, it's an animal tranquilizer, an animal sedative. Okay, the source was also asked to wrangle other girls who hang out with the duo. They wanted Instagram baddies with tons of followers and BBLs. They wanted girls who were not drinking age, like 19, the source alleged, considering how much they were consuming of adult substances. Why they would specifically want girls that were not legally able to indulge in the same way that they were. Well, I guess it doesn't matter because they were indulging in things that were completely illegal for anyone and everyone, including the full adults. The source alleged, adding that she roped in 6 female friends to hang out with Woeltz and Duplessie. Well, I'm sure that your friends were really appreciative of that. Would you want to hang out with these guys? Movie of the week in the chat, WTF. Yes, and that's not a bureau. We need to call the Bureau of WTF to investigate these guys, because we're like, I know I mentioned Jeffrey Epstein before, and these guys have like it's 2 degrees of separation between Duplessie, who we see on the screen here, shirtless with his sunglasses on, or actually they kind of look like lady sunglasses, but who knows? We'll not judge. Sunglasses are for everybody. His dirty fingernail, his beanie babies, his multiple tats, including the seal of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, which you can see over here on, well, that I guess would be his right, but that's our left. The leopards, the Gadsden flag, don't step on me, no step on snake. And then again, this thing over here, which I'm not entirely sure, it kind of looks like a cattle skull, but it also kind of looks like a cattle skull mixed with the old Van Halen logo. I can't quite tell. But yeah, do you want to go home with this guy? You want to go hang out in his party pad? I don't, but okay. And there he is. Ooh, scary Frankenbro with a shirt on. He's unhappy. He has shirt on. He has no sunglasses. Light hurts eyes. Shirt hurts skin. Okay, Duplessie didn't really talk to a girl unless he wanted to hook up with her, a source said of his behavior at parties and clubs. Well, I mean, honestly, that's not an insult. If he doesn't want to hook up with you and then he's not speaking to you, what a blessing. I imagine that's a blessing. But things got weird, the source said, when Charlie just started being so rude. That's Charlie Zakor, the sort of Real Housewives guy. It's not called a Real Housewives show, but we covered this on episode 1, this new Bravo reality show that has a couple daughters, I think they're both daughters, of Real Housewives, and then they have some other kind of randomly sort of famous Nepo-y baby kind of people. And yeah, I can't imagine who would want to watch that, but there you go. It's a new show. I guess it's on now. Okay, Charlie Zakor just started being so rude, saying the girls were not hot enough. This was Charlie on Woeltz and Duplessie's behalf. This was around the time I started questioning my friendship with him. Okay, so Charlie Zakor was their connection to getting into the clubs, and he was also procuring girls to come back to the house, girls who were under legal drinking age when most of what they were doing was consuming substances, including adult beverages, in addition to the illegal substances. I'm kind of wondering why no charges were placed against Charlie Zakor, because he seemed to be there. When we watch Woeltz being arrested in just a moment, when we look at the TMZ coverage, you can pretty clearly see Zakor. It looks like Zakor, and I'm pretty sure one of the articles identified him as being in the video. He was there in the house when Woeltz got arrested. You can see him on the sidewalk, but he wasn't taken in. He wasn't taken in. He wasn't taken in handcuffs, not like Woeltz was. I kind of wonder why Woeltz got the harshest treatment of everybody. We'll go over this a little bit. When we see the TMZ footage, I'll get a little bit more into this, but let me continue with this article. Okay. Will and John, this is the source, Will and John always had other people doing the talking for them. Will didn't really talk to a girl unless he wanted to hook up with her. John was always giving me a creepy vibe. He didn't seem really happy to be there. Oh, you mean this guy? Yeah, I can't imagine. When the two did speak, the source said, pretty much all they talked about was how much money they have. I'm the crypto king of Kentucky. Well, I'm the Empress of the French Dip Empire, so there. Another party girl, that's a euphemism, who hung out with Woeltz and Duplessie told the Post that she met them when a promoter can be a euphemism too, for the box, which is also a euphemism, anyway, invited her and some other young women to an April after party at the Soho It's Nolita townhouse Woeltz was renting. Yes, for anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 or $40,000 a month, depending on what source you check. And then they bumped it up at one point, I think, to $100,000 a month. So it is a very large property, and I have no idea what the actual rent was. Okay, it's also where Carturan claims he was held against his will for 17 days from May 6 to 23 and allegedly tortured for the password to his $30 million Bitcoin wallet. The promoters put us all in this Sprinter van. Doesn't sound super luxurious. Not a luxury ride, is it? When we got to the apartment, so it says apartment. Are they mistaking the townhouse for an apartment? There was security everywhere. And if you saw episode 1, you may recall that security was provided by off-duty New York police officers, including a member of Mayor Eric Adams' security detail, who supposedly is being investigated for this connection, working for the crypto bros. However, there have been, I assume it's a man who was doing security. He has not, the security detail cop from Mayor Adams, he has not been named. There have been there are a whole bunch of articles, if you look it up, which say that a security detail cop for Mayor Adams was connected to this, was doing security for them, was involved with picking up Carturan and ferrying him from the airport to the townhouse. However, the man hasn't been named. There have been no details about this at all. Movie of the week in the chat says, well, Sprinters are made by Mercedes-Benz, so it's sort of luxury, lol. Yes, lol to that. Being picked up in a minivan, like, whatever. I won't go into what this obviously is, but it's pretty obvious what's going on here. Okay, so workers survey. There's security everywhere. A girl doing coat check. I've never seen anything like that. Workers serving the food and drinks. Don Julio, Grey Goose, and there's the Prince Street townhouse. And yes, it's the entire property, and it goes quite far back. We're going to see some photos and video from inside the actual townhouse. And here is one of those photos. This appears to be like a basement. It just looks like a furnished basement in a kind of spacious suburban middle-class house, but apparently this is in the Soho, or now I'm saying it, the Nolita townhouse. And it looks as if they've just tried to set it up like a makeshift club. You've got the sofas, the low sofas, the tiny little tables to put your drinks and your probably ashtrays on, and, a little DJ, not quite booth, but table set up in the corner. And again, it's so sparse and non-luxurious that I can only imagine once it's filled with people and the music is bumping, and hopefully they had some colored lights, some ambience. Maybe it gets a little, or maybe you just have to do all the substances and then it makes it make sense. That's what I'm going with. So continuing the article, there were even velvet ropes keeping guests from parts of the townhouse. The kitchen was roped off. The dining room was roped off. The stairs were roped off. Duplessie, who was shirtless, was DJing. Oh boy, the party girl said, when a girl I was with took a selfie. I don't know if it was Will or a security guard, but someone immediately jumped at her and said, "You can't take any pictures." It was a big deal. But there was plenty of illicit behavior to photograph, she claimed. There was a big metal platter on a table in the basement. Will brought a freezer bag full of marching powder and poured it all on the tray, as if it was nothing, and walked away. It was actually insane. It was a freezer bag of marching powder worth my tuition in college or more. And then again, this is Carturan, the alleged victim, on his alleged escape from the alleged torture townhouse. The party left after an hour or so, she said, because there was no politeness. There was no small talk. I felt like a piece of meat. Well, yeah. I'm not exactly sure what this person expected, a Cinderella story? Anyway, the nightlife source, meanwhile, said that after a week of back-to-back partying at clubs with Woeltz and Duplessie, I cut them off just because the vibes were off. It felt shady. Now, if someone who spends a denizen of a nightclub is telling you that you're shady, bruh, you're super shade. It's super shady. But it was too late. The duo were integrated into the city's nightlife scene, frequenting places like Nebula, Hearsay, and The Box. I really regretted putting them onto the people and the places I know after I couldn't escape them anywhere, the source said. When I kept seeing them out, they had tons and tons of girls by their side. Gee, I can't imagine why. I think there's a term for those kinds of girls, but I probably wouldn't want to say it on air right now. You can probably read my mind if you're on the same wavelength. It's 2 words. 2 words. 2-word term. I had friends who would see them out and report back to me how they were acting. Will was still shirtless with sunglasses. Well, I wouldn't expect any less. Okay, so there's Will, shirtless with the sunglasses on. Now, okay, we will come back to these 2 stories in a moment. Now we're going to get to the fantastic TMZ coverage. Let's switch over here. Okay, so this is their coverage of the raid in Kentucky, not in New York City. And let me, okay. I see you in the chat, movie of the week, yeah. Okay. New York, NYC crypto torture suspects. Feds raid their Kentucky estate. And TMZ says this is exclusive. This is from 10th and 11th June 2025. And there they are again. There's Woeltz, Weaselbro on the left, and Duplessie, Frankenbro on the right. Feds are poking around a home owned by the 2 suspects charged with kidnapping and torturing an Italian man for weeks inside a swanky, multi-million-dollar New York City townhouse in an alleged scheme to obtain a Bitcoin password. Okay, so let's take a look, because most of the information in the article is redundant. We've covered it already, so let's take a look at the photos. They're a little small here, but you can just get, this is, it's not literally Main Street. I forget the name of the street now. This is the street where the Smith Mansion is located, and you can see the cars, the officers, and more. There they are, just kind of standing around. A lot of cars, a lot of cops. You can get a kind of vibe. I mean, this doesn't exactly look luxurious to me. It doesn't look like we're the multi-million-dollar crypto guys the king of Kentucky would be living, but what do I know? Okay. So, some more photos that TMZ got. And, again, a reiteration. Okay, so this is when Duplessie and Woeltz were arrested in New York City, and when we watch the video, you will see the contrast. But again, it was really interesting to me. The more I go over the information, the more I think about it, the more that comes to me. As we mentioned in episode 1, Duplessie was in the Hamptons when Woeltz got busted at the Nolita townhouse. And as you can see, Woeltz is wearing a bathrobe, and as you'll see when I play the video, he too is barefoot, much like his alleged victim Carturan was when he ran to get help from the police. But Duplessie was allowed to negotiate turning himself into the police, which he did with his attorneys present. And, well, perhaps uncharacteristically, he was wearing a shirt and pants. Not, well, okay, this outfit. And whereas Woeltz was dragged out of the townhouse with, practically or allegedly exposing himself and needing assistance from the officers to with his bathrobe belt. Why he was not allowed to dress, why he was not allowed to put shoes on. We could talk about that in a little bit more in a moment. But we'll continue down. Let's see. Yes, so Carturan told authorities Woeltz and Duplessie cut his leg with a saw, did a number 1 on him, and forced him to smoke the whack form of marching powder from a pipe they held to his mouth. He says he managed to escape running barefoot out of the townhouse and flagging down a traffic cop. We obtained exclusive video of Carturan running down the street after the traffic cop and then heading back towards the townhouse with the same traffic agent. And okay, TMZ also published other footage calling into question whether Carturan was held against his will at certain points, as is alleged. Photo. Now here we're going to get a little spicy. Nothing, totally NSFW, but little spicy. Photos show Carturan shirtless, much like Duplessis, and smiling inside the townhouse with a neck collar attached to a leash that a woman is pulling, simulating a certain kind of scene. You can see it on the screen. Imagine the abbreviation for Marks and Spencer, but reversed. Instead of M&S, it's, movie of the week in the chat writes, it became against his will because they ran out of marching powder. Well, that's certainly possible. So as you can see, this is inside the Nolita townhouse, often called Soho townhouse. And you can see the ladies that presumably were brought from the club, and the dude who, because his face is obscured, who knows, he could be looking at the camera with a look of pure terror on his face. However, it is doubtful when you actually watch the video. And there's one video that I absolutely cannot show that TMZ had because it involves actual conjugal relations between people who are not actually married, shall we say. It was edited, but it's too graphic. I could not play that, but that was apparently Carturan, and it did not look like anyone was forcing him to do anything. As a matter of fact, the video, which I will have to describe because I cannot show it, it's taken by someone who is filming themselves, probably with their telephone, or possibly like a GoPro or some other kind of digital camera, but probably their phone. And they're going through the property. They're going through the townhouse. And at one point they open a door and enter a room, like a small bedroom, and there are a couple in flagrante in bed, and they're disturbed by this person entering, was not supposed to, apparently, and that was supposedly Carturan, who did not, from the very small clip, appear to be under any duress or being forced to engage in this act with this lady. But anyway, we can look at the pics though. So that supposedly is Carturan, and this, it looks like this might actually be a still from the video after, or maybe even before, they were caught unawares, because it looks like the same room and the same bed setup. But one thing that's so striking about this townhouse, for all of the money that these guys have, for all of the luxury, the rooms are so spare. I mean, look at this bed. It just looks like a metal bed frame. It looks almost like a dorm room kind of bed. It looks very, cheap, very sparse. There are no decorations on the walls. And there supposedly is Carturan with the lady who either he was in the bed with or would be soon. I'm not sure. And the photo that we saw before. And this this was kind of amusing because when this came out, the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni lawsuit nonsense was very, very prominent in the news, and you can see that's supposedly Carturan, the alleged victim, sitting in what has been described as a wheelchair that he was tied to, but we've seen other photographs of him and as well as video of Carturan, who has his arms appear to be quite free. He actually does not look as though he is strapped to the wheelchair. I don't know why they have a wheelchair, but I don't even want to call this speculation. But there's an amusing little connection when we do a future episode and look into the Biden connection, because supposedly former president of the United States, Joe Biden's niece, Caroline Biden, allegedly dated Duplessie, the big guy, Frankenbro, the shirtless guy. I don't know, but there's a weird wheelchair connection, kind of, maybe, vaguely. We will look at that on a future episode. But anyway, so he's sitting in a wheelchair, and on the wall in the back here, they've projected, I guess we're going to watch a movie, and it's a movie with Blake Lively in it. So that was kind of funny. And that is Carturan supposedly lounging or passed out sleeping, possibly, on the sofa with a person in the background whose face is obviously also obscured. And one article I read, the caption said that this individual has a knife in their lap. Now, there is video that looks like it comes from, if not this exact moment in time, it looks very similar, and I think you can kind of see what's going on. But even though a person has a bladed weapon, it does not appear as though there's anything threatening going on. It looks like everyone's just fallen asleep, probably after being up for a very long time doing things that are not legal, not entirely anyway. And again, notice it's just big white blah couches, plain white walls. There's this one sad little piece of art on the wall. For all the money that, I mean, okay, the rug is nice. The Persian rug or the Oriental rug is nice. But other than that, it's not a terribly impressive space. They seem to have spent more money on liquids and powders than on furnishings. But we all have to have our priorities, don't we? So... And here's one we're going to be checking out in a second. And again, was this really a kidnapping? Was it partying gone really, really, really bad? Or was it like one thing that segued into this? Was it the second kind of turned into the first? Did it start off as partying gone bad, and the way it went really bad, was it turned into a very violent, aggressive scene? Certainly possible considering what they're consuming, but there's really no way of knowing. I'm really, really fascinated to see what happens when they go to trial, assuming that they do. That's not even a given. But at the end of this article, it says, other videos capture Carturan apparently cooking whack in an air fryer, while tied to a chair with his hands free, tied to a wheelchair with his hands free and a big grin on his face, and partying and having relations. Indeed. So let's take a look. Okay, there are two videos. I think this is the video. There's a lot of talking from the TMZ people, so I don't want to show that, but here are a couple more. I'm going to mute these gentlemen because I just wanted to show some of the images. And here, let me skip ahead. So here, this is actual footage. That's supposedly Carturan. Now, does that look like he's being tortured? Or does it look like people are goofing around? I know, that was a very short clip. They had to slow it down and replay it. I'll play it again in case you're interested. Does it look like horseplay, or does it look like a possible felony? I don't know. Okay, so there's that. And of course, it doesn't mean that it couldn't have been all fun and games until things got, unpleasant. It could have turned. It could be both. It could have been fun for them, their idea of fun, until it was not. So here we see the photos again. And here, one moment, they're going to go into, sorry, it's a little tricky scrubbing to exact. There we go. Okay, so here we see, and one of these guys, okay, that guy supposedly has a thing in his lap. That was supposedly, one of these guys is supposedly Carturan, just passed out sleeping on the white sofa. Here, they're going to play it again. I have no idea who's filming this or why they ended up giving it to TMZ. And look at all that takeout. Boy, they were hungry or not hungry. It depends on whether they ate it or not. I see. I'm going to pause this for a second. Movie of the week in the chat says, you can't make whack in an air fryer. You need to microwave it. Well, movie of the week, we don't need instructions on that. And keep in mind, these guys were on substances. Their brainstorming was probably not too great. I'm just going to guess. And you also say, looks like pretty consensual, quote, torture to me, unquote, to me, the type of torture that comes with a safe word. Exactly. Well, who knows? Maybe they didn't respect Carturan's safe word, and therefore it became a criminal activity. We really don't know. We can't say. Okay. Now, okay, that's still... All right, this is the part, and if the TMZ guys are talking over this, I can find a different copy of this. So when I hit play again, the video is going to roll, and this is supposedly Carturan himself during the 3 weeks that he was supposedly kidnapped and being, tortured by the crypto bros. And hopefully the TMZ guys aren't talking over this, but here we go.
Painting than from what we originally heard when this case...
Nobody imagined that.
This video, by the way, this is just interesting, especially after the air fryer video. I just want to play a little bit of this, of what this conversation was. And this is Carturan that you're seeing here, talking about a recipe for crack.
Absolutely water.
How much do we put per parts baking soda?
That's a great question for our research into.
So this is...
How much
I mean,
per baking
I'd
soda?
say 2 to 1, just off the top of my head.
Just off the top of my head. Happened, and here's the recipe. But again, he's standing there talking very calmly to them, not restrained. Again, we can't see what's on the other side of the camera here. You don't know.
Okay, so, and we're going to see the air fryer video in a second as well, in just a little bit. But the tall man with his face blurred out, that is, well, they're saying Carturan. I said Carturan. I don't know how the man actually pronounces it, but that is the alleged victim. Now, that doesn't mean that he wasn't, victimized after this point, but much like the commenters on TMZ, he seems at this point relaxed. They're chatting, and yes, they're talking about recipes for making an illegal substance. I hope that was censored enough. I am not trying to promote. I will state very, very strongly, don't take those substances, don't make those substances, don't buy them, don't sell them. There's legal trouble, there's health trouble, all kinds of trouble. And we wouldn't want you to get into any trouble here at the French Dip Empire. And yes, just to take a moment, we've been going for about 90 minutes. So I would like to take this moment to remind you, this is French Dip Empire. I am the Empress. We are doing part 2 of our ongoing series into the Crypto Bros Gone Wild, the crypto bro torture case out of New York City and apparently also Kentucky. And if you would do me a favor, I would be so thrilled if you would hit the like button, subscribe. If you're catching this live, give a chat in the live chat on the off to the side of the video here. Say hi and leave your opinion, leave your comments or your questions. And if you're catching this on the replay, go ahead and leave a comment under the video. Do you think And this is what I would really like to know. What is your opinion? Do you think that the crypto bro guys, Duplessie and Woeltz, did they actually kidnap Carturan? Did they actually torture him? Do you think it started off all criminal and bad? Do you think it started off as a party that got out of hand due to, possibly substances or maybe something else? What do you think about the raid in Kentucky? What do you think about those tunnels? What do you think they were doing with the tunnels? Okay, I'm going to scroll down. I can't remember which video this is. Let's take a look. Okay, now this is the video of Carturan escaping from the townhouse, allegedly escaping. So what we're seeing here, and you can tell the little red arrow says police. Now, the police officer is going to walk down, sort of down and to the right, but, down the sidewalk. There's another man behind the cop. That's not Carturan. You will see Carturan because, as you can see, the person behind, if you can see, the person behind the cop has footwear on. You will see Carturan come behind that second person, or the person behind the cop. And then you will see both Carturan and the police officer go back up the sidewalk. So that's what this is. And there's no, I don't believe there's any sound on this. So let's just take a look. And remember, this is Carturan having allegedly having fled from the house, the townhouse. He's supposedly been tortured. He's been tased. He's allegedly been cut with a chainsaw on his arm and legs. And he was described as barefoot, which he is, and bloody. What do you see? I will hit play. Now, here comes Carturan. His face is blurred. There you go. Red arrow. Run, run, run. And then time dash. Calmly walking up the sidewalk. Barefooted. Just sort of ambling back up. Up the sidewalk. The police officer did not appear to give Carturan any medical attention, did not appear to call an ambulance, didn't do anything other than walk back the other way very calmly. That seems a little weird to me. I guess it was, hey, I just escaped from this place. They're doing bad things. Oh, where is it? Well, it's right down here. Well, take me there. I don't know about that. Movie of the week in the chat says, you can't run like that with a chainsaw wound on your leg. Well, maybe he only got a little ding, Maybe the chainsaw wasn't on and they just kind of like touched it to his leg, and maybe he got a little tiny ding, like the chainsaw equivalent of a paper cut. I don't think that's really a thing, but okay. Movie of the week in the chat says, adrenaline is a thing, but that's sus. Of course, adrenaline is a thing. Well, so is substances. That could have given him a little, speed. Well, I don't mean it that way. I mean, the way Red Bull gives you wings, that could have given him a little extra oomph. It is a thing sometimes when people are doing that kind of a substance. You might, if he was passed out on the sofa like that, you wake up, get your morning. Well, some people go for their cup of morning Joe, and other people go for their toot of morning blow. So that could have put a little bit of a extra spring in his step. But okay, so that's TMZ covering the raid, and now. Let's see. I want to go to this story. Okay, so here are the pics and the video from inside the Soho. Now they've got me doing it. So many articles incorrectly labeled it a Soho townhouse that now I'm saying it. It's in Nolita, but Soho is so much easier to say. Maybe that's why they wrote it. Or maybe it's because it's slightly more identifiable of a neighborhood than Nolita. But anyway, Okay, so this is from May 27, but updated June 11. Crypto torture caper. Suspects rented party palace through non-stop bashes. Okay, let's scroll down and take a look. So TMZ got the pics. This is obviously a dining space with some sliders that go out onto a patio. I've actually, in episode 1, we took a look on Google Maps at the property, so you can see how big it is, how far it goes back, and it is multi-storied, and there is a like an outdoor deck backyard space, and you can kind of see it through the doors here. There's like a grill and counters and whatnot, or not counter, but like a countertop over here and storage space. And then there's a fire pit, like a circular fire pit structure here, and some chairs. And, you know, it's nice. They've got the bushes and whatnot. It's a very nice space. If you live in New York City, outdoor space is an absolute premium. Not everyone gets it, but when you do, it is indeed glorious. Worth every penny. If you are someone looking to buy or rent property in New York City, I would highly recommend, if you can get a deck, if you can get a roof deck, a balcony, anything, go for it. Just beware, if you have upstairs neighbors, they might drop things into your space, but just be careful with that. Let's take a look. Oh, now the pictures are going to be tiny, but okay. There's more. There, you can see the fire pit. It's lit. How charming, how inviting. And there's another shot of the outside space with the fire pit looking into the house. And some food. Yeah, they have a video of just food on TMZ. This sort of cavernous space is obviously a big 2-story affair. But again, just empty, not even furniture, nothing really on the walls, just kind of oddly empty. And it is a large space. There's their dirty kitchen. We saw this picture. We've seen this multiple times. We saw this on the first episode in the basement. And just, that's obviously their sort of, well, it looks like it's in the living room space. It's the same rug. And again, just sort of like a cheap looking little table, enough for your drinks and your, ashtray. Okay, and that's the end of those photos. I'm not going to read all of this article. Again, it's got a lot of redundant information, but here you go. TMZ learned that Woeltz had to pass a credit check, rental history check, and confirmation of funds. Proof of income 40 times the amount of the rent, which again could be anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 or $40,000. And I've even heard $100,000 a month, but not really sure what he was paying. All of which need to come back perfect, especially for the super high-end real estate. There's their dirty, messy post-party kitchen, which honestly, it just looks like they had a big party. Although we had heard that when they had a party, they had velvet ropes so that party guests could not enter the kitchen. So I guess in this case, they were entering the kitchen. But hey, they've got tissues and they've got some wipes, so they can clean, I guess, if they'd like to. Yeah, once they staked the impressive joint as their new crypto bro pad, John and William would allegedly party for days on end. Gee, I wonder what helped them do that. Yeah, high-end alcohol and high-end food. Blue Ribbon Sushi, Nobu, and Cipriani's. And an article that we read last time said that they would just order food and leave hundreds of dollars of food out on their stoop outside their front door, and they wouldn't even touch it. We'll take a look at these videos in a second. Okay, here's a little new bit of information, if true. They always had security at the townhome, and they never had butlers, which is contrary to other reports. I wondered about that, because if they had butlers, I mean, they definitely, one of the videos shows them they had a private chef. Somebody must have seen more of what was going on, but everybody was keeping their mouth shut. I mean, obviously your private chef would, but Okay. We know this already. Well, now it says they were torturing Carturan in the basement. But it also said one of the other, with the video, I think one of the videos said that there was a room that they found that had, was sort of bloody, and that it was like the torture room. Now they're saying it was in the basement, but if it was that basement looked pretty clean. All those white sofas, you would think that someone would see something in the house. Okay. They attended a Met Gala after party. There was a photo in the Charlie Zakor article that we covered on episode 1 that had, I believe, a photograph of him with a lady at a Met Gala after party. Although it didn't look like the kind of party that, say, the Kardashians would have been invited to. It looked a bit more D-list, but, I wasn't there. I'm not entirely sure. And then it says in April, they attended the Save Venice Gala at the Plaza Hotel. And there's some lovely food. And, of course, the box. We know all about the box. I like this line. But don't get it twisted. We're told both guys were totally obnoxious. Not at all the life of the party. And it actually sucked to be around them. But people kept showing up for the free alcohol, substances, and the lifestyle. Well, sure. And there's the back deck. There's the fire pit. I mean, it looks like a great space. For the moment, police still have the property locked down, and it won't be released back to the owner until the investigation is complete. Well, that would be a bummer, not to be able to access your property. So let's take a look. Let me see. The Townhouse slideshow. Okay. All right. So if you want to see, this is the silly little food video.
Oh, maybe salad, veggie salad, vodka sauce. Yeah, thank you. Marinara, sexy steak, chicken piccata, and Chef Alex. Yeah, you guys are doing. Ooh, boy. That's some sexy steak.
Okay, I'm not exactly sure what we were supposed to get out of that video from TMZ, except for the fact that whoever was filming that referred to pieces of steak, not once but twice, as sexy. Ugh. Yuck. Okay, now on this video, I'm going to mute this for a second so we don't have to listen to all the TMZ guys talk. But maybe I'll just scooch ahead. So this should be video. Here's Woeltz getting arrested. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about this. I mentioned a little bit of this before. When Woeltz got arrested, notice they're bringing him out in the bathrobe, and there, okay, if you were with us on part 1, you'll remember the Kia that is always parked on Prince Street outside this the building, the larger building structure that the townhouse is attached to. It's on the Google map. If you look up the address, it's on the Google map. Okay, here, now they're patting him down. Now, question. Okay, there's that should be Zakor. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure they said Charlie Zakor was in the house at the time of the raid because he used to crash there all the time. I'll roll it back just a tiny bit. The tall blonde guy who's standing in the back by the bodega, watching as Woeltz gets patted down. That should be Zakor. Why was he not arrested? Why didn't he help Woeltz get some shoes or some pants? But notice the police are doing the pat down. I mean, why are they patting him down? He's wearing a bathrobe. He has no shoes on. Do you think that he's wearing, like, cargo shorts under his bathrobe? Well, probably not, because one of these articles that TMZ published claimed that Woeltz exposed himself. Well, I guess he didn't expose himself, that he was exposed, flashing his Bitcoin to, lower Manhattan because his robe came open. Now, here are my questions. In addition to the fact that Duplessis, who was in the Hamptons at the time that Woeltz was getting busted, Duplessis was allowed to negotiate his surrender to the police. He did so fully clothed and accompanied by not one but two attorneys. Now, that seems like if you're going to be arrested by the police, that's a pretty good way of handling it, right? For yourself, it's better than being dragged out of your home, half naked, I assume, and in front of cameras. Duplessis was also filmed when he went to turn himself in and after when he left. But Woeltz clearly wasn't given the heads up. Why was Woeltz treated differently? Why was Woeltz dragged out in a bathrobe and no shoes in front of the cameras, in front of the press, and patted down? Now, think about it. You might say, but perhaps they thought that he was dangerous. After all, a man claimed that he was kidnapped, tortured, that there were weapons, including the projectile type, in the property. Maybe they were concerned that if they went in there, someone would use one of those weapons. It could be dangerous. Sure, that's a sensible thought, but they're not treating him. They're not treating the people in the property like it was dangerous. If it were, then the blonde guy, assuming this is Zakor, or at least someone who was in the property, he's certainly reacting and acting as though he's familiar with Woeltz and part of this whole scenario. Why wouldn't he get in? I mean, when people are in a home where criminal activity has been going on, generally speaking, you're not allowed to just walk away. Everybody is everybody's going to be lined up, sat down maybe, probably handcuffed, taken in for questioning. But they didn't want Zakor, and who knows if anyone else was in the house at that time. They wanted Woeltz. So they go in. It doesn't look like they had to worry about, a standoff, shall we say. Do you think that when they were in the townhouse that these officers couldn't have said, here's a t-shirt and some shorts and some sneakers or flip-flops or what have you. Just put them on, and they can stand there and watch. As, make sure that he doesn't grab, a weapon or anything like that. Of course they can. Do you think that when they went into the townhouse, they couldn't have done their pat down? Don't you think it would have made more sense to do it immediately rather than waiting to cuff him, remove him from the townhouse, down the stairs, out onto the sidewalk, making sure that they do it in full view of the cameras? They're not blocked by the Kia. They're not blocked by the other police officers. It's a great shot, right? For the TMZ cameras and anyone else. And why do they need to pat down a man who presumably is stark naked under a bathrobe? Why is he wearing a bathrobe? Did he throw the bathrobe on to greet the cops? Would they not have patted him down before taking him out? That seems to make more sense. So, I just have to wonder. And there's Woeltz, barefoot in the street. Well, if he did do something criminal to Carturan, I suppose he deserves to be walked barefoot in the streets of New York, much as Carturan did. Now, contrast that with, this is the video of Duplessis turning himself into the police with his attorneys. There he goes, wearing clothing, wearing footwear. And here he is coming out. And this is actually kind of amusing. I want to put the sound on for when he comes out. Listen to all these reporter ladies, all these girlies, because it's all girlies yelling until I think the end. There's some maybe male voices, but it's a lot of like chicks with with cell phones filming and like harassing him, it's kind of funny. Listen to them yell at Duplessis.
We're not sure exactly what charges he's going to be facing. His arraignment has not happened yet. So he is in custody. But the details of this and why all of this happened, it is, as I said, cinematic.
Yeah, this seems like a very
Okay, I apologize. That was the wrong video that did not have the audio on it. Let me see if this one has. There's another video that does have the audio.
turned over. Once those passwords are given over, it vanished.
Nah, they're just going to talk over it. I'll find the other one. There's another video where you can hear them. Okay, so, all right, that's it for that one. And now, let's see. I think we go to this one next. Now, this is possibly the most damning possible evidence that perhaps it was just a big misunderstanding. Was there really a crime against the alleged victim? Or was it something else? Now you can see the huge TMZ headline. It says, this is from June 2nd, updated on the 11th. Crypto torture case. Video shows alleged victim tied up cooking whack 5 days after his alleged capture. So what's that all about? Well, let's take a look. The Italian businessman who was allegedly kidnapped and tortured in New York City for nearly 3 weeks wasn't always in distress during that period, according to a bizarre video of him cooking what we're calling whack in an air fryer. TMZ obtained a 20-second clip which seemingly illustrates a much different picture of Michael Valentino Teofrasto Carturan's alleged captivity in the Soho It's Nolita townhome, where police say John Woeltz and William Duplessie tortured him for 17 days. In the video, Carturan appears to be tied around the chest to a wheelchair, but his hands are free, and he's smiling and joking with at least 3 other people in the room. This is a still from the video, which we will take a look at in just a moment. That is Carturan with the pixelated head. That is the wheelchair, but you can see he's hands-free, and an air fryer. Carturan, whose face we've blurred because he's an alleged victim, is fiddling with an air fryer on a table, and you can hear a male voice say, "You're in a wheelchair cooking whack," although it's not whack, right? And someone else says, "That's so whack." Except they actually said whack. They meant that. Funny guys, right? Then someone says, "This whack," except not really, "is going to effing suck." And everyone in the room, including Carturan, laughs. Another male voice says, "Don't get me in the whack video, bro." And so both of these people are pixelated out, but that's supposedly Carturan. Here's what's puzzling about this video. Metadata shows, boy, TMZ is really going deep. Metadata shows it was recorded May 11 at 1:45 a.m. Eastern Time at Woeltz's Prince Street address. That's the townhouse. According to the police, Woeltz lured Carturan to his place on May 6 and held him until he managed to escape on May 23. Our law enforcement sources tell us Carturan was tortured and forced to smoke whack while being filmed by his alleged captors in order to blackmail him into turning over his password for his Bitcoin wallet worth millions. We're told the suspects allegedly threatened to send the footage to Carturan's investors if he didn't provide the password. Although we've also heard that he was threatened with an unaliving of both himself and his family if he didn't reveal the password. Excuse me. But Carturan still refused to cough it up. All of that aligns with this video. Well, I'm not sure what aligns with the video. It honestly, I'll play it. To me, it just looks like they're having a party. But who knows what happened when they weren't being filmed. What is unclear, though, is why Carturan would be in such a laughing and lighthearted mood 5 days after he was allegedly held. The video also reveals Woeltz and Duplessie were not the only ones in the townhome with Carturan. We've blurred the face of a man in a white sweater who was present. He's not Woeltz or Duplessie. Plus, there are at least 2 other male voices in the room. Meanwhile, Woeltz and Duplessie are being held without bail on charges of kidnapping, assault, unlawful imprisonment, and criminal possession of a weapon. We reached out to attorneys for Duplessie and Woeltz. Duplessie's attorney had no comment, and so far no word back from Woeltz's attorney. We tried to contact representatives for Michael Valentino Teofrasto Carturan, but without success so far. So let's take a look at the videos. Scrolling up. So this video is the cooking video. And let me put the sound on, and here we go. Okay, that was a very short video, but you can hear that. And again, the man in the chair, I can roll it back. The man in the chair in the dark, like black outfit, that's the alleged victim, Carturan, who, I mean, I don't know. He doesn't look particularly distressed to me, but possibly a little confused. That was the vibe I was looking for. Okay, well, I have to say, to me, in that moment, it looked like they were just partying and having fun, but who knows? Who knows? And now, oh, okay, this is the Woeltz video again. We don't need to see that again. Oh, wait, which one was this? Oh, okay, here, you can see Woeltz again, like, and I think that's Zakor, but I could be wrong. See, they're even fixing his bathrobe to make sure that he isn't exposed. I genuinely think they could have allowed him some clothing. And look, walking, why is... You mean to tell me the police wouldn't park right here in front of the bodega so they could have just loaded him up into whatever, you know, cop car they had to cart him away in? Okay, so that is possibly, in addition to the, you know, spicy photos and video of playing around with the ladies, maybe the strongest evidence that maybe it wasn't exactly the kidnapping torture scenario that the alleged victim alleged had occurred. But who knows? So, again, this was... such a strong bit of, I guess, evidence that it prompted the prosecutors in the case to address it. So this is that article. Let's take a look at that. One moment. Okay, so this is TMZ again from June 11. NYC crypto torture subjects. I'm going to say spicy party pics of, quote, victim, unquote, part of kinky setup. Prosecutors explain images. Crypto kidnap and torture suspects John Woeltz and William Duplessie are now indicted on multiple felony counts, and prosecutors are addressing TMZ's wild videos, Crypto Bros Gone Wild, showing their alleged victim partying and having spicy intimate relations, calling it an elaborate smokescreen. In a Manhattan courtroom Wednesday, crypto bros Woeltz and Duplessie were accused of staging those kinky videos to make it seem like they were not holding Italian businessman Michael Carturan captive. And I think these are the same pics we saw before, but just very quickly. And there's, you know, some video to go along with it. Okay. Prosecutors say the duo arranged for Carturan to be photographed in those party pics and spicy scenes to sell the lie that he was just living it up. They also describe Carturan as basically being under house arrest, only allowed out with a guard. And we've heard that they had security, that Woeltz and Duplessie would travel with 4 security guards when they went out clubbing, and that they had security at their house. But no butlers, according to TMZ, contrary to prior reports. As for Carturan's escape, prosecutors say Woeltz told him to transfer the money, and when he went to grab a device to complete the transaction, he seized the moment to flee. Certainly possible. Woeltz and Duplessie are now charged with kidnapping, assault, coercion, attempted grand larceny, and criminal possession of a weapon. ICYMI, the suspects allegedly lured Carturan to their rented Manhattan townhouse and kept him trapped there for over 17 days, trying to force him to cough up his Bitcoin password. TMZ got exclusive video of Carturan making a break for it, sprinting after a traffic cop just before the so-called crypto king of Kentucky and his buddy Duplessie were arrested. And so, okay, we took a look at the slideshow, and, okay, yeah, the video is just Carturan fleeing once again with no visible blood or chainsaw wounds, as far as at least I could tell. And, okay, and lastly, if a little treat, if you've made it this long, we're a little over 2 hours, and we're coming into the home stretch with our last couple articles. We're going to this one. Now, this is a older TMZ article. It was from May 29th, but then updated on June 11th. And and the reason I really wanted to show this one, let's see. I don't know. Let me scroll down and make sure we can look at some more interesting photographs. We saw this one on part 1. That is Duplessie, as you can tell from the tats, wearing, I guess that's night vision goggles, night vision helmet. And they did say that he had some kind of bulletproof or ballistic vest. I'm assuming that is this. Why he needed to don this inside the townhouse, maybe he was just having some fun as the whackhead's gonna play, and so I don't know. This is part of his fun. Okay, I just am double checking. Carturan, here's a new bit of information. Carturan said an AirTag was tied around his neck with chain or wire. Which, okay, if he got loose, I suppose they could find him with an AirTag, but what are they going to do? Track him down once he's gone? I mean, that's kind of silly. And yes, they claim that they hung him over at the beginning of this video. I think the first photograph in the first article was the staircase. Can I show that real quick? The staircase that they allegedly dangled him over. Here was this one. So supposedly they held him over this banister and threatened to drop him from the top, but who knows if that happened? Who knows that it didn't happen? Okay, so back to the TMZ article, our last TMZ article. So again, they reiterate that Carturan said he would give them the password from his laptop, and as Woeltz went to retrieve the laptop. I thought before it said that Carturan went to get it. Well, I guess that was unclear. That Woeltz went to retrieve the laptop. Carturan ran down the stairs, out the front door, and flagged down a traffic cop who called 911. Now, where were the security guards? What about the other guys who were in the house? Well, maybe the guys in the house were still asleep. The other gentlemen, the people passed out on the white sofas. Although I would think that if Carturan were being threatened with some kind of injury or unaliving, they would have heard it maybe, but maybe they were very, very asleep. Okay. Yes, and this just reiterates prosecutors claim they found a saw Is that the chainsaw? Now, it could be a regular saw. Whack. Chicken wire, not a euphemism. T-shirts featuring pictures of Carturan with the pipe in his mouth. They took pictures of it and then made T-shirts? Want one? Can I get one? I suppose we could make our own at home if you have the right facilities, if you have a good printer, a spare T-shirt. I think we should all have T-shirts of Carturan with a pipe in his mouth. We could probably shop it. Although then again, are there any known photos of him that aren't pixelated? Polaroid pictures of Carturan with a bang bang pointed at his head, and other items including bang bang ammo and body armor. Blood was also found in parts of the residence, matching locations where Carturan described he'd been tortured. Yes, but whose blood was it? Has it been typed? How do we know? And again, this is, I think, the same photographs of inside the townhouse. Yeah, the fire pit, the food, that weird room with nothing in it, the dirty kitchen, the basement, and more living room as far as I can tell. I'm pretty sure that's the living room. It says Carturan was treated for his injuries at Bellevue Hospital, but we don't know exactly what those injuries were. A source with direct knowledge tells TMZ the NYPD detective who allegedly picked up Carturan at the airport serves as a member of New York Mayor Eric Adams' security detail and is now under investigation in relation to this case. This says the indictment is sealed. It was unsealed. It says they hadn't entered a plea, but they have pleaded not guilty, and they are innocent until proven otherwise. And here, I'm going to mute the I guess that's Harvey Levin, right? I'm sorry, I don't know the other guy. I wanted to play this. Maybe I should scrub ahead to the good part. They have more of the club pictures of Duplessis, and here.
That go on in this club. Yes, it's a private club, and they party how they want to party in that club. We also got photos.
Well, there you go. The dancing. I'll roll it back. This is Duplessis. He's getting down. He's boogieing. He's got his dancing shoes on and his shirt off. His dancing sunglasses on. Look at him go, ladies. Check out that bod. Gents, drink it in. Whoever might be attracted to that. Have fun. Have fun. Here, we've got more. It's the same video. Look at him. Yeah, buddy, open that mouth. Let's see that tongue. Catching flies on the dance floor with his open mouth. and the chick on his shoulder as well. Okay. I really say a prayer for the ladies who have encountered the crypto bros and went back with them, because if this is the guy who's picking you up in the club, and I don't mean just literally, I mean figuratively as well. If this is the guy who's like, hey, baby, you want to come home? I got some fun stuff. Just say no. Just say no. I gotta love him, right? There goes Duplessis, Frankenbro, cutting a rug on the dance floor. All right. So now that we've covered the TMZ coverage, I'm going to go back to the slightly more reputable press. This is our last New York Post article. And I just wanted to come back on this because this was June 11. I think June 11 and June 12th, almost a month ago from as I'm speaking, was the last dates where I've really found articles that explained anything about this case. So this is titled, Crypto Bros in Twisted New York City Kidnap Case Held two other victims, quote, against their will, unquote, DA says, while revealing sick new details. And since in the United States court system, the system of justice, It is not a done thing. You cannot bring other crimes into the courtroom as any form of evidence that an accused individual is guilty of that crime that they are currently being accused of, if that makes sense. So for what I'm trying to say is the crypto bros are accused of attacking Carturan. The DA is claiming that they did this to 2 other people. If they do not bring charges against them in those cases, it's really not a done thing, at least not in the trial. I suppose prior to the trial, they can say whatever they want. But in the trial, you can't really, you're not supposed to be allowed to present evidence saying, well, they did it to 2 other people, so they must be guilty of this. Like, crimes are supposed to be separated like that, unless it's all part of one case. And according to this article, as far as I can tell, they are not, at least not yet, being charged with the alleged attacking of 2 other alleged victims. So, let's see. Oh, they call it Soho again. All right, there's a lot of redundant information. We've already covered it. So let's just get to the new information. And so this is prosecutors revealed Wednesday, along with shocking new details. And what are they? A graphic photo allegedly showing the pair sadistically setting their Italian captive on fire. And then this is Woeltz in the orange, of course. And that's Duplessie in the brown, beige, tan, khaki, perhaps khaki. And there they are together, as you can see, not double vision, the same photo. Okay, reiterating the same stuff. But yes, a prosecutor revealed that Woeltz and Duplessie had previously held 2 other people from 2 different locations against their will before allegedly kidnapping Carturan last month. Did this happen in New York? Did this happen in Kentucky? Why are there no details? Why are there no charges? If they had already done this before, did the authorities know? Why weren't they arrested prior to this? And how did it come out that they had done this? Did the 2 other alleged victims hear about Carturan and go, oh, well, that happened to me and I was too afraid or embarrassed or whatever to go to the authorities. But now that Carturan has, spilled the beans to the cops, I feel comfortable going and doing the same. Possibly. But why no charges? Why no charges? I guess it remains to be seen. It says no details about the other alleged kidnappings were disclosed during the hearing, but prosecutors did unveil new accusations about Carturan's harrowing experiences. And of course, this is Carturan on the street with his bare feet and no visible wounds, but that doesn't mean he didn't have them. At one point, Woeltz and Duplessie allegedly poured tequila over Carturan, lit him aflame, and doused the blaze by relieving themselves on him, prosecutors said, describing a photo. He luckily doesn't have burn injuries, the prosecutor said about Carturan, who escaped May 23 after his alleged weeks-long ordeal. Now again, pouring tequila on someone, setting it on fire, and then relieving yourself on that individual to put out the flames. Again, it sounds like some kind of Steve-O jackass stunt. Not Steve-O now. He doesn't do that stuff anymore, as far as I know. And part of why he doesn't do it anymore, in addition to, I imagine, injuries, he has, I've heard, and I hope it's true and still true, left the substance-abusing lifestyle behind and choosing a healthier, happier, and more safe, a safer lifestyle. You're not going to get involved with crypto bros, I guess. Not in this sense, anyway. Stay away from those things. Crypto bros and problematic substances. Just for your health. For your health and happiness. But I am surprised he wouldn't have even the most minor of a burn They poured tequila over him. Over where? His head? Well, would not his hair have burnt? His arms, his legs, his chest, his back? I would think, even if it was a light for a few seconds, there might be some visible something? Damage? No? It's really unclear. And again, I'm very disappointed in the reporting. TMZ did an interesting job of obtaining some videos and photographs and some details that other outlets like the Post, I guess they didn't get, and then they reported it from TMZ's reporting. And they confirmed some things that TMZ had floated. But why are they claiming that Carturan was set on fire? He was hit with a chainsaw, but he looks more or less okay. Are there videos of him? He appears to be happily partying, happily describing his recipe for making, substance. What happened? Again, was it partying gone bad that turned into something really evil? But they're claiming that the crypto bros had kidnapped 2 people before. And they for what? Holding them again for ransom? Clearing out their Bitcoin? Why no charges? I guess we'll hold our breath and see if charges are forthcoming. Now, that is, those are all of the articles, videos, and whatnot that I have for this episode. We will continue with more episodes on this case as we delve into, in the future, the Caroline Biden connection and the connection with Brock Pierce, who is apparently Duplessie's former employer or mentor or something along those lines. And it is down that path that we get one step away from Jeffrey Epstein. So we will be covering those connections on future episodes. But before we close this out, I would like to leave you with a little bit of amusement. If Duplessie dancing in the club wasn't enough entertainment for you, I'll leave you with a couple comments from Reddit. I know it's Reddit, but this is from the subreddit R Trashy, very appropriately, R Trashy, covering the Kentucky crypto bros. We have a repetition of a lot of the same photos we've seen, but this one's kind of funny. It's unclear what exactly this has to do with the crypto bros. Oh, it's Nebula. Oh, okay. I didn't miss this. I missed this the first time I looked at this. So this is them in Nebula, and I guess this is what Paul Sevigny's lounge was missing out on. They've got the alcohol in a little case. How nice, I guess. A ticker tape parade type. I don't know what this is. It looks like receipts are falling from the sky, like old-fashioned, paper receipts falling from the. Well, I guess you still get those paper receipts from stores falling from the sky. And I won't read what it says on that sign there. And I can't vouch for that, but good luck to Andrew. I don't know why someone had an entire party celebrating the fact that they're insulting him, but okay. And then more club photos. The dirty kitchen. It's not as bad as honestly, the kitchen's not as filthy as I thought it would be. The floors even look fairly clean, so it can't be that bad if the floor looks okay. What little we can see of it, but this is just priceless. This is what they were spending their money on. Okay, funny. But here are 2 comments about people, and it's the internet, so of course everyone always tells the truth about their identity on the internet. Nobody ever lies. I have them highlighted, so here, let me scroll down. Okay, this user says, I went to boarding school with John Woeltz. That's Weasel Bro. We used to call him BTs. You can say it. I mean, I could say it, but I'm trying to keep things clean. It's like an insulting way of saying man boobs. A little less family friendly way of saying man boobs. B boobs, but the T word. Okay, you can see it, right? Highlighted in the pink here. So they insulted his chest, his pecs. And then as for Duplessie, we have a user down here who says, William Duplessie, the dude with tattoos, is a trust fund kid with a billionaire father, born and raised in Greenwich, Connecticut. If his father's a billionaire, why is he doing this stuff? After moving out of Daddy's house in Greenwich, and the house that we looked at in episode 1, he split his time between penthouses in New York City and beachfront properties on Venice Beach in LA. Okay, well, he did spend some time in Switzerland and Miami, apparently, as well. I knew him growing up. He's always been a giant piece of excrement. But he used the S word. We're cleaning it up. So there you go. We've got man boobs and the giant piece of excrement. The verdict by two people who claim to have known these gentlemen in their youth, I don't know. I can only tell you that they look kind of douchey, that's for sure. But are they torturers? Are they kidnappers? They're probably felon criminals just for the alleged substances that they would have had. Although, wait a minute, come to think of it, none of the charges that I read out, none of them were substance possession or anything like that, right? It was possession of weapons, but not substances. There must have been substances all over that house. I mean, you saw the kitchen. They weren't cleaning the kitchen, so they probably weren't cleaning anything else. I would imagine that when you are the kind of guy who reportedly can bring out a freezer bag full of powder, marching powder, and just dump it out onto a tray, that there would probably be residue and probably things all over the place. That's my understanding anyway. But I don't hear anything about that. And just to be clear, in New York, in New York City, in New York State, marching powder, not legal. The marijuana that they were supposedly smoking so much of that they set off the smoke detector, that's legal. They could do that with no problem. But the powder stuff and the rock version, the whack, that's not legal, not even in Manhattan. I mean, they might not care. But if they find it on you, it's really, I suppose, up to the discretion of the police officers. But when they have all these other charges, I'm kind of surprised that wasn't tacked on. So that thus concludes this episode of French Dip Empire, Crypto Bros Gone Wild. This is part 2 of a series that we are doing on this topic, and there is more to come as we delve into the Biden connection, the Epstein via Brock Pierce connection, and actually, as much Jeffrey Epstein is just sort of like a name drop, Brock Pierce is possibly far more interesting even than Epstein. And let's keep in mind, Brock Pierce is still alive. But anyway, this is French Dip Empire. I am the Empress. Thank you for joining me. If you're still here, go ahead, and if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment under the video. And every little bit helps with YouTube, helps the algorithm so that they can get the videos out suggested to other people who might be interested. And we are on a march toward monetization so that we can give more back with the channel in the form of memberships, super chats, and super stickers to subscribers and members. So please go ahead and do that and come back for our next episode about Crypto Bros and other topics. I hope to see you again. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.